Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee for September 10, 2024. I'm Jamal Osman, and I'm the chair of this committee. I would like to welcome everyone and remind my colleagues that this is broadcasted, and just to be clear, so we can caption for any, so the folks that are watching are able to read those. All right. Now, at this time, I'll ask clerk to call the roll so we can verify a quorum.
Councilmember Rainville.
Present.
Cashman.
Present.
Jenkins is absent. Chowdhury.
Present.
Vice Chair Ellison.
Here.
Chair Osman.
Present.
There are 5 members present.
Thank you. Let the record reflect we have a quorum. Today's agenda is before us. Item 10 through 28 are consent agenda. Item 10 is 3 liquor license approval. Item 11 is 339 liquor license renewal. Item 12 is 3 gambling license approval. Item 13 is 18 gambling license renewal. Item 14 is authorizing a contract with SMG for fire watch services. Item 15 is approving a commemorative street name addition to Deshaun Hill Jr. Way to a portion of 16th Avenue North. Item 16 is accepting a scholarship from SHIBO for the Preserve Minnesota 2024 conference. Item 17 is consenting a loan assumption and an amendment for 3123 23rd Avenue South. Item 18 is approving appropriation of WEDA Commons Fund to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Item 19 is approving modification to the Portland Village Project loan. Item 20 is comprehensive plan amendment and right-of-way vacation for portion of 1027 Essex Street Southeast. Item 21 is a passage of ordinance amending Title 20 to streamline the review of non-residential to residential building conversions. Item 22 is setting a public hearing for September 24 for a land sale of 2305-2309 Fifth Avenue South. Item 23 is setting a public hearing for September 24 for a land sale of 2933-2937 Fifth Avenue South. Item 24 is setting a public hearing for September 24 to consider issuance of bond to Hiawatha ABC and Hiawatha Academies. Item 25 is referring to staff the subject matter of ordinance amending enclosed building requirements for food lockers. Item 26 is referring to staff the subject matter of ordinance clarifying issue related to the administration of the zoning code. Item 27 is referring to the staff subject matter for ordinance adopting regulation governing cannabis businesses. Item 28 is referring to staff subject matter of ordinance to create a state-authorized local registration program for qualifying cannabis hemp retails. All right. We also have one receive and file, item 30, which is the 2023 annual tax increment financing disclosure statement. We also have one item, 31, a presentation related to the business licensing fee for TNC that we are going to postpone on September 24. Would anyone like to pull any of these items or questions for further discussions? Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't need to pull this item, but I wanted to just quickly acknowledge item 15, which is the commemorative street renaming that's going to be on 16th and Knox. This is to commemorate a North High student athlete in our Minneapolis public schools, Deshaun Hill, who was murdered several years ago. And so I just really want to thank the community, my community. I want to thank the North Side, and I want to thank my colleague Latricia Vita in helping us commemorate his life and the way that he was tragically taken from us, and hopefully offer us a little bit as a community an opportunity to celebrate his life in the way that I know that his family would want us to, in the way that his his fellow students, his teammates. I all know that this is something that we're going to be mourning, that they're going to be mourning for the rest of their lives, especially. And so to have a sign like this, to offer the community a space to grieve, to come together, to celebrate him for his achievements, not just the way in which he lost his life, I think is really important. So didn't want to allow it to, I know this is going to pass with no controversy, but also just wanted to speak on it and just offer, my condolences to the family and to thank the community for coming together to celebrate him in this way. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Also would like to mention we have been joined by Councilmember Jenkins. Welcome, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to pull any items. I just wanted to request of you for item number 27 and 28, the cannabis business regulations and registration ordinance, if I could be added as a co-author.
Yes, City Clerk. Thank you. There any other questions? Seeing none, I would like to also add, thank the staff for this long time waiting with that Commons affordable housing that will be built in Ward 6. Large units, 4 to 3 bedrooms. Thank you, the staff, for your commitment and work on this, and can't wait for the opening for this project. Seeing none, I will approve on the consent agenda and receive a file item. And the postpone, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. All right, joint consent with Minneapolis Community Development Agency. We have a joint consent item with MCDA Operating Committee. It's a passage of resolution modifying the city conduct bond policy. As a background, the MCDA was the city development agency until the formation of our seabed department in 2003. It still exists as a separate legal entity for certain limited purposes, and a small number of seabed items require approval by the MCDA Board of Commissioners in addition to the City Council approval. The City Council serves as the MCDA Board of Commissioners. The MCDA Operating Committee are composed of members of the current BIZ committee, considering an item prior to the MCDA board action. Would anyone would like pull this item for any questions or any further discussions? See none, I'll move approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next, we have 9 public hearing. The first is for an application from Darling for an on-sale liquor with Sunday sales, limited entertainment. I'll ask Akbar Muhammad from License to give us that presentation. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Osman and committee members. I am Akbar Muhammad with Licensing and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Darling LLC, DBA as Darling, located at 3311 25th Street East in Ward 2. Darling will be a neighborhood cafe that will serve breakfast, bakery items, desserts, cocktails, wine, and beer. The proposed hours of operation are for the interior and exterior will be Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. They have indoor seating for 67 patrons and outdoor seating under Sidewalk Cafe for 32 patrons. On August 20th, 176 public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Seward Neighborhood Organization and Councilmember Wansley. They have received 7 comments from the community. All 7 are in support. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and operating conditions show no significant issues concerning the business or issuance of this license. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale liquor limited live entertainment with Sunday sales. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And now I am going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Joel Robert.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Jewel Roberts, and this is our partner Jeff. Sorry.
Yep,
What-
go ahead. You have 2 minutes if you'd like to make comments.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're just a neighborhood joint. We've owned restaurants in Minneapolis and out People's Organic besides Darling that we've opened. We've currently been open from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. doing brunch and lunch, and we are thoroughly looking forward to opening dinner. We didn't want to do that without a liquor license, as people are already bummed when they can't have their Sundays mimosas. And so we're just kind of waiting on that. But the neighborhood has been great. We've received nothing but positive feedback from everything. So, yeah. I think that's
Wonderful.
it.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Yeah.
Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and call Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Happy to move approval of this item.
With that motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Our next item is a public hearing at Aki's for on-sale wine, strong beer, limited entertainment. I'll call Greg.
Thank you.
Eliason. Yes, welcome,
Chair
sir.
Osmond and committee members, I'm Craig Eliason, District Supervisor with Licenses and Consumer Services. Today I'm presenting an application from Aki's Bread House LLC, doing business as Aki's Bread House, located at 1712 Marshall Street Northeast, Suite 200, located in Ward 3. The applicant is requesting an on-sale wine with strong beer, limited entertainment license. Aki's Bread House will be moving their bakery to this location and adding entrees to their menu to become a full-service restaurant. They will be able to seat 60 patrons inside their 5,000 square foot space. Their hours of operation will be Wednesday through Friday, 4 p.m. till 9 p.m., Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. On August 20th, 74 public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Sheridan Neighborhood Association, the Northeast Minneapolis Chamber, and Councilmember Rainville. We have received no comments from the community. Since this business is not open yet, there have been no 311 calls, police calls, nor are there any operating conditions proposed. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale wine with strong beer, limited entertainment license for Aki's Bread House. This concludes my presentation, and at this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Nancy Marone and David.
Hi, I'm Nancy, and this is my business partner, Aki. Aki's had his bakery in Northeast Minneapolis for the last 10 years on Central Avenue. Since then, we've outgrown our humble little space and are excited for our new space to open on Marshall Street. With the expansion of the bakery, we wanted to include more, to bring more to the community and add in, what was said, a restaurant with wine and beer.
Thank you so much for your comments. Are there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's with great pleasure I'll move for approval of this, and welcome to the Third Ward in Northeast. I'm a frequent customer of yours. Now I won't have to travel so far, so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Now, our next item is a public hearing for La Madre, and I will call License Manager Amy Lingo.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and committee members. I'm Amy Lingo, Manager for Licenses and Consumer Services, and I'm presenting an application from La Familia Tapatia LLC, doing business as La Madre. The business is to be located at 205 Park Avenue, Suite D, in Ward 3. This is a new business application requesting an on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales and no entertainment. There is currently no license at this location. La Madre will be a modern Mexican street food restaurant that aims to bring modern flavors, colors, and traditions of the Mexican culinary street cuisine to the Mill District. La Madre plans to and will operate out of the first story of a residential mixed-use building and will offer both indoor and outdoor seating. The premises will span 5,888 square feet with 132 indoor seats and 34 outdoor seats on a private patio. The hours of operation are Tuesday to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Monday will be for private events only. On August 19th, 2024, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Organization and Councilmember Rainville. There have been no significant 311 or police calls that can be attributed to this business. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of a new on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales and no entertainment. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I'll stand for any comments or questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I will proceed to open the public hearing and call Abraham Benz.
Thank you, Councilman. My name is Abraham, and I'm owner-operator of Tapatia. We're really excited about taking the next step for our family business and bringing it to the Mill District and bringing it to Minneapolis. We're excited to bring tacos, oysters, tequila, and just a lively atmosphere for our guests in the vicinity and our neighbors, across the street. And so we're really excited to take our next step. So
Thank you so much for that testimony. And is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move approval of this item, and Abraham, I believe I'm scheduled to visit your restaurant next week, so I look forward to a little tour. Thank you.
Thank you. With that motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Our next item is a public hearing for Mintaho Catering, and I'll call Greg Allison for presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and committee members. I'm Craig Eliason, District Supervisor with Licenses and Consumer Services, and today I'm presenting an application from Mintaho, Inc., doing business as Mintaho Catering and Events, located at 40 Power Street in the 3rd Ward. The applicant is requesting an on-sale liquor with Sunday sales general entertainment license. Mintaho Catering and Events has been operating at this location for several years as a liquor caterer. Now they will be able to offer the same services to private parties at the Nicollet Island Pavilion using their own on-sale license. There will be only open when booked for a private party, potentially from 8 a.m. to midnight daily. Their banquet facility can seat 650 patrons inside and 120 on a private outdoor patio. On August 28th, 5 public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Nicollet Island East Bank Neighborhood Association, the Northeast Chamber of Minneapolis, and Councilmember Rainville. We have received no comments from the community. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, or police calls shows no significant issues concerning the business or issuance of this license. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale liquor with Sunday sales general entertainment license. This concludes my presentation, and at this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I will open the public hearing and call Jim McMurray. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Jim McMurdy. I'm an officer and a director and a founder of Mintaho. We've actually been at the Nicollet Island Pavilion for 22 years. I believe we've got an exemplary record of working with the community, with the licensing bureaus, with the police and the community. We'd like to have more public activities there. The building is owned by the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Over the last couple of years, they've decided that they would like to encourage more public participation and activities there, and that really requires having a liquor license. And the The park board is very much involved with the programming. We work together with them on the activities that will take place at the Nicollet Island Pavilion. There's actually an amphitheater adjacent to the property, as part of the property, where the park board has had occasionally neighborhood-type activities, and they want to expand those too and increase a picnic type of activities in that area.
Thank you for your testimony.
Okay, thank you.
Are there anyone who would like to speak? See none, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's with great pleasure that I ask for approval of item number 4 and make that motion. And Jim, I can't believe it's been 22 years since I first met you, but you've had a great run down there, and good luck. I hope this helps streamline your operation.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Commissioner.
With Councilmember Rainville's motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. And now we are on public hearing number 5. Our next item is a public hearing for Fowling Warehouse. And I'll invite again Manager Amy Lingo.
Once again, thank you, Chair Osmond and committee members. I am Amy Lingo, Manager for Licenses and Consumer Services, and I'm presenting an application from FWMSP LLC, doing business as Fowling Warehouse, Minneapolis. This business is to be located at 401 Royalston Avenue North in Ward 3. This is a new business, is requesting an on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales and no entertainment. There is no current license at the location, as this business is new. The Fowling Warehouse plans to provide a recreational space for fowling, which combines elements of football and bowling. Basically throw a football at bowling pins across the way, alongside a bar and seating area. The facility occupies about 32,000 square feet with 21 fowling lanes and a total seating capacity of 158, all indoors. The hours of operation will be Sunday to Thursday, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. On August 19th, 2024, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the North Loop Neighborhood Association, the Warehouse District Business Association, and Councilmember Rainville. We have only received one letter of support from the North Loop Neighborhood Association. There have been no other responses. There have been no significant 311 or business calls that can be attributed to this business. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of the new on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales and no entertainment. This concludes my presentation, and I stand for any comments or questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Andrew Cunningham.
Hello, council members. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, I'm here trying to bring Fowling, which is a brand new franchise. Well, brand new, about 14 years in the making. And we're excited to bring this new opportunity, which combines football and bowling, which is so well explained, where you have two sets of pins. You throw the football back and forth between two teams till the one set of pins are knocked down. And then when the pins are knocked down, that's the losing team. They walk, and the winners stay. Then the next team comes on. This is an entertainment facility. Eatertainment, I believe, is the new industry coined term for it. So we're proud to bring that to you all, and hope to integrate into the actual neighborhood and really liven the area and engage as the new light rail opens up and all the local area businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak? See none, close the public hearing and call Councilmember Chowdhury.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming and presenting. This sounds really cool. As long as the lanes aren't the length of an actual football field, I think we're good here. And yeah, I would, if the ward council member doesn't mind, I would love to move this item for approval.
Thank you. Do you mind?
I would defer to Councilmember Ellison. I believe it's his ward.
Yeah, we'll have to reconcile the printing here, whether it's 5 or 3. I know that's the border, and sometimes I'm not even sure, but Royalston usually is 5. But yes, I will support this motion.
All right. All right, with Councilmember Chowdhury's motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. All right, our next item is a public hearing for an ordinance regarding the required pre-eviction filing to residential tenants. I'll ask Joe Dobson from CBET to give us that presentation. Joey.
All right, good afternoon, Chair Osmond, Vice Chair Ellison, and committee members. My name is Joey Dobson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm Housing and Equitable Development Policy Coordinator in CPED. Today, I'll be just giving a brief overview of the ordinance change being proposed here by the authors, which include Councilmember and Committee Member Chowdhury, Councilmember Chavez, and Council President Payne. We also have staff from CPED and Reg Services on hand if there are any questions at the end. So in 2021, the City of Minneapolis adopted a pre-eviction filing notice ordinance. What this policy does is it requires that when a renter gets behind on rent, the property owner must give them 14 days of written notice of that rent issue before they file a court case, an eviction case, in court. So the proposed ordinance up for consideration today would extend that required notice period from 14 to 30 days. The next three slides just highlight the specific language that would be changed in this ordinance up for consideration today. So first, you'll see here that it just highlights that change from 14 days to 30 days notice. Again, this slide details what needs to be in the notice. So in that written notice itself, the property owner needs to tell the renter, hey, if you don't pay by this amount of time, this is when I can bring an action in housing court. So this changes that number, again, from 14 to 30 days. And then again, the ordinance is clear that if the renter then fails to pay the amount owed in that notice, the owner can indeed proceed to filing that case in court. Again, changing that from 14 to 30 days after the delivery of the notice. The only other change in the language here would be the effective date. So the effective date being proposed for this ordinance change would be March 1st, 2025, as we'll highlight that allows time for communication to the relevant parties. All right, so just to recap, again, what this does is just giving more advance notice to renters when facing a potential court eviction case for non-payment of rent. And the change would become effective in March of 2025. There's no change to what the notice needs to contain or how it's delivered. All right, so why is this being proposed? Staff's understanding of the author's intent here is really threefold. First and foremost, give renters more time before facing a court eviction case. What that's doing is really allowing more time for the renters to either get that emergency rent assistance they need to make rent, to seek legal advice, legal counsel for their situation, and potentially make other related life decisions about whether they need to move or whether they want to change their housing arrangement and avoid litigation. With the important ultimate goal of preventing involuntary displacement of renters and avoiding potential homelessness. This slide just gives a little context of some related policies at the state and city level that are aimed at preventing evictions or otherwise supporting and stabilizing renter households. First, it's important to note that the state of Minnesota, since the city passed their pre-eviction policy in 2021, the state passed a pre-eviction notice statute in 2023 requiring 14-day notice, really mirroring the bulk of the city's policy. The city, of course, also has a right to counsel policy in place, which passed in 2019, which guarantees low-income Minneapolis renters facing eviction access to legal representation when facing that court case. This policy, importantly, is implemented through partnership with a designated service provider. We're in good touch with our partners on that front about how that work is being implemented. Other, of course, renter protection policies and programs, this isn't all of them, but some relevant work in policy and program at the city around renter housing stability include the Renter Relocation Assistance Ordinance and Program, tenant screening reform policy and security deposit cap policies, and our Stable Homes, Stable Schools program, which stabilizes homeless and highly mobile families with kids in our Minneapolis public school system. Just a couple notes here on how this policy is enforced. This isn't a change from the existing policy, but this policy is really enforced in two ways. First and foremost, the primary mode of enforcement for this policy really isn't at the city of Minneapolis by city staff, it's in housing court. So when a renter is facing an eviction, they can bring a defense that they didn't get the required notice, and then, in the housing court officer can determine whether or not that policy was filed or not, and it can be a potential defense to that eviction action. Second, this is a policy in the city's housing maintenance code, and so can be enforced through our kind of traditional complaint and violation process that regulatory services manages, with the same process for fines or warnings as other code violations can incur. And then finally, this is just how, if this were to pass, how staff would plan to implement and notify stakeholders of the change. Regulatory Services sends out an annual notice to all licensed rental property owners at the beginning of the year. So a notice of new policies get included in that notice, so this would be incorporated into that. Then, of course, we could certainly reach out directly to our known stakeholder partners and use kind of traditional city channels via the website and social media. So that concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation. We'll have the question at the end, but I'll open the public hearing. And sorry if I mispronounce your name, but last name is Wall. Welcome, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Osman and committee members. My name is John Wall. I have a small family real estate business. We build and manage market rate and affordable housing units in the Twin Cities. Since I started in this business 25 years ago, the City Council has added and considered adding several ordinances that have made rental housing more expensive. Park dedication fees, rent control and stabilization, tenants' rights to purchase, inclusionary zoning, several that were just mentioned before me. All of these add more costs to housing. The basic agreement between a landlord and a tenant is I provide a nice place for you to live and you pay rent. So what I understand you're proposing is to say, well, regardless of the agreement you made with the tenant, we're going to make you give them more time. If you really want them to have more time and to not pay rent, as they agreed to in the rental agreement, the city should pay their rent, not make the landlords bear this additional cost. The additional cost, I might add, doesn't end up with the landlord as much as it may feel like sticking it to the man. It ends up in higher rent for all the tenants. So please do not do this to your renters' constituents. And the 90% of the tenants or more who pay their rent regularly every month. Don't do this to them. Thank you.
Thank you
I stand
for
for questions if you have any.
And we're not taking questions. Thank you,
Thank
sir. Next person is from Ward 8, Suter. Welcome. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Daniel Suter. I'm here as a representative of Homeline. Homeline is a statewide tenants' rights nonprofit. We do a lot of work with tenants in Minneapolis. We regularly advise 3,000 to 4,000 tenants in Minneapolis per year. And I want to thank the Minneapolis City Council for being a leader on tenants' rights. As you heard from your own staff, the 14-day notice passed in 2021 has now become state policy, and Minneapolis is now stepping up to lead the way once more. There are 30-day notice requirements across the state. The city of Brooklyn Center, just up the road, 40% renter city, has a 30-day policy, and the world hasn't ended there. In fact, the Federal CARES Act passed a 30-day notice policy for every single rental property touched by a federal subsidy. Section 8, Section 42, LIHTC are already covered under this. Many landlords are already incredibly used to dealing with the 30-day notice policy. And while I don't have peer-reviewed research for you, anecdotal evidence from the and summary findings from the statewide passage of a 14-day notice shows that filings are down, especially in Hennepin County. And what we're finding is that extra time lets people solve disputes. 90% of evictions are for non-payment of rent. And of those, Homeline's data shows that it's 1 to 2 months' rent. That's about one paycheck. If you can give the tenants of Minneapolis time to get one more paycheck under their belt, or more time for emergency rental assistance so that the rent can be paid by the county or nonprofits to come through before a landlord can file an eviction, we're going to see fewer evictions. We're going to see more tenants in place, and we're going to see more landlords being made whole and getting paid. Slowing down the process and pumping the brakes is a good thing for the tenants of Minneapolis and for the landlords, no matter how much they protest. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next person is Julia. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Julia Zwak, and I'm the managing attorney of the housing unit at Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid in our Minneapolis office. The city of Minneapolis has designated legal aid as the right to counsel provider to support and implement the city's ambitious right to counsel ordinance. We've worked alongside the city to support tenants experiencing evictions as well as serious repair emergencies, unlawful lockouts, and condemnation problems. And I speak today in favor of this proposed ordinance, and I thank Council Members Chavez, Payne, and Chowdhury for their leadership in drafting this important improvement to local policy. So based on our experience, we know eviction defense practice. We work with families and individuals day in and out who are facing eviction. And we know that it's often a single emergency that puts people into this crisis, whether it's a job loss, a medical emergency, the loss of a household member. These emergencies can put people back 1 month in rent, and that could destabilize their whole year or entire family's existence. This proposed change to the Minneapolis pre-filing notice ordinance would give tenants more time to pay back their landlords' rent or other fees owed, and therefore stay housed and avoid such emergencies. Avoiding evictions will also provide more stability for residents, which would impact whole neighborhoods. It could reduce the eviction costs to housing providers. If you're able to resolve an emergency without filing an eviction case, that actually saves landlords money rather than costing money to go to court and hire an attorney. It could also contribute to building communities that have long-term stability and support the overall community as a whole. Based on our relationships with Hennepin County Housing Stability staff, we also know that the county wants to get rental assistance into tenants' hands, and often the timeline to do that is longer than 14 days. 2 weeks often falls short of the time needed, and this additional 14 days will help maintain housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Cecile Smith.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the council. I am Cecil Smith. I reside in Ward 1, and I am President and CEO of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. My members oppose this ordinance and believe it's unnecessary. There already exists a state-mandated and city-mandated 14-day notice. This is ample opportunity for residents to pay any rent in arrears or seek assistance before filing any eviction action. A 30-day period is excessive and will create the risk of losing 3 months' rent, which places a significant financial burden on the property. Owners and managers operate a business that relies on timely rent payments. It is infeasible for renters to stay in a unit for free while property owners have financial responsibilities such as mortgage payments, utilities, and other financial obligations. I want to sound the alarm that in Brooklyn Center, that has had a 30-day notice the longest, bad debt has risen significantly. We already have a legislative-initiated task force trying to solve the sustainability challenges in affordable housing. We need no further headwinds to the solvency crisis facing providers of affordable units. There is no major problem that requires the city to step in and fix this with a 30-day notice. Minneapolis has a filing rate of less than 3% and an eviction rate less than half that, one of the lowest eviction filing rates in the country for all cities. That is where we want to be, or better. The last time this ordinance was considered, in May 2021, the city attorney provided non-public guidance to the council. I would urge you to review that guidance. Only 8 other states have a 14-day notice or greater requirements, and only DC has a 30-day notice, but recent reports indicate housing providers are near collapse in that city. Don't do something that we believe could harm the solvency of housing providers and risk housing stability for many more renters. Thank you.
Thank you. And last person is Brian Walters.
Brian Walters here with Yellow Tree. I just want to add to some of the comments that they made regarding the added costs, particularly to market rate housing. The concept that this is somehow saving landlords by giving them the opportunity to work with tenants longer. They already have that opportunity to work with tenants longer, and we do all the time. A responsible tenant understands they're going to be late on rent. They reach out to us. We create payment plans all the time. This just forces our hand to file them, give them the eviction notice on day one, stating that we have to give them this, and it's just moving that up the chain. Landlords, particularly in the market rate industry, you work with a tenant that shows a willingness to pay, or that they're going to work towards a plan to make their debts whole. An ordinance just creates an additional burden on us that gets passed on because of those tenants that don't want to pay. It just added another month, another 2 weeks to their bill that someone has to pay. It's just bad debt that goes out the door, and we have to collect it somewhere else. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone who would like to speak? See none, I'll close the public hearing, and I would call Councilmember Chowdhury. And, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. And I guess this question may be for staff or the authors. There is a statement that I noticed in the ordinance that says allegations of past or non-payment of rent. And I'm just curious, that term allegation means that maybe the rent has been paid or maybe it hasn't. And so can staff address that?
Yes, Chair Osman and Councilmember Jenkins, what I would just point to there is the ordinance, I think, and I would also look to the City Attorney's Office here too. It uses that phrase allegations because, of course, sometimes there can be a misunderstanding of what's the exact amount owed or what's been paid and what's not. So I think it uses that word allegation in part related to the purpose of the ordinance, right? To give those parties a chance to figure out, is there a misunderstanding, what's actually due, and a chance to potentially resolve that issue. But I don't know if there's anything the City Attorney's Office would add to that word.
Thank you. I would agree with the staff's comment. Certainly the use of the term allegation just means that that's the basis of the potential eviction action.
And then my next question, and likely is for staff as well, what are the consequences and how will we understand if that 30-day notice has been given? And who is the notice given to? Is it given to the tenant, or is it given to some court or some entity with the city?
Through Chair Osman to Councilmember Jenkins, that question, so to who it is given to, the notice is given to the renter, to that tenant household. No, there's no requirement that a copy be filed with the city or the court at that moment in time. What can happen if the renter household, the renter believes that the notice wasn't given, didn't receive it, they have a couple avenues. one, first and foremost, they can work with their attorney or work through that court system to raise the lack of having gotten that notice, at which point it would be in the court's hands to, find the evidence needed, ask for the evidence, and make a determination of whether that notice was properly given. The second avenue is they can contact the city via 311, via the same mechanism for making a complaint about any other violation of the city's housing maintenance code or other city policy, at which point our Department of Regulatory Services, their inspector staff investigates any complaint alleging a violation of the housing maintenance code and follows up in due course based on the evidence they find. But if anyone from Reg Services or other staff want to add to that answer.
So if it ended up going to court, that would essentially extend the period of...
So how I would envision this working is the owner has an understanding that the renter owes rent, is behind on rent. They either provide or don't provide the notice as spelled out in the policy. And then the owner is the one that could file that court case, could file that eviction case in court. Then it can go back into the renter's hands to defend that court case. They're now facing a court eviction. And so they would have the opportunity to raise as a defense to that case, I didn't receive the notice as prescribed by state statute or by Minneapolis ordinance. And then it'd be up to the judge in that case to determine what actually occurred and whether that eviction case was being brought properly by the rental property owner.
Right. Thank you. I would just add some additional comments, and I think some of these points have been made, but we do have a large amount or a fair amount of very small property owners who rent out parts of their property. They depend on timely payment of rent in order to pay the mortgage, and if the mortgage is not paid with the agreed upon rent, then subsequently we have multiple people who are at risk of homelessness and or having to figure out a new life situation, I think was listed as one of the issues of concern. And so how do we, the authors, how do we intend to address those challenges? And anyone can answer. I know Councilmember Chavez is not here, so.
Well, Councilmember Allison or Chowdhury.
Is the hypothetical you've presented that with a late payment of rent, it would cause a chain reaction of the tenant becoming homeless and the landlord becoming homeless?
It's not a hypothetical. If the rent is not paid, that's a fact.
Are you citing a specific incident in which this occurred?
No, sir. I'm citing a future incident. I mean, none of this is what we're talking about is occurring. We're talking about people who may or may not pay their rent. So that's what we're discussing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the hypothetical, and I've never seen that example play out in real life, and so I'm not saying it hasn't. I've just personally never witnessed that example play out in real life, so I can't really speak to that. But I was going to speak to the ordinance in general, but you have the floor, so I'm happy to wait.
Thank you. You are next, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Yes, I will make my remarks, and I think in addressing the question, Councilmember Jenkins, you've presented, I haven't heard that outcome, but I do remember during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a worry for everyone, whether you're a renter, whether you're a homeowner, whether you have a mortgage or rent to pay, about the impact on that. I would just say, like, presently, even with a 14-day notice, like, that could be a non-payment of rent with less time for the money to be given to the property owner or the landlord, and this just creates more time to address that non-payment. Give renters the ability to maybe talk to a family member, receive that emergency rental assistance to make sure that they're securely housed and they're able to pay rent. So that's kind of how I would address it. With 14 days, you have less time to get money back to the property owner. I'm going to go into my comments. As one of the authors of this ordinance, I want to first off thank city staff for their work on this, working with my office, Councilmember Chavez, and Council President. Thank you to the Housing Advisory Committee, Homeline, Legal Aid, and all of the advocates that contributed to this work. As a renter, I can tell you, if it would take me about 5 weeks to pack up everything that I owned, just to move into an apartment or move out of apartment. People with evictions have to live out the realities on a timeline that barely aligns with the pay schedule. 14 days is presently not an adequate notice for anyone to prepare for most major events. But currently, that's all the time that's allotted for someone to figure out their financial situation, or in their worst, and probably one of their worst days, time to vacate. And through our research, what we really looked at is making sure that systems align here to reduce evictions, reduce displacement in the city of Minneapolis, right? When we looked at the emergency rental assistance schedule with Hennepin County, that doesn't line up with the 14-day notice. The 30 days does. That doesn't line up, again, with the pay schedule. That doesn't, if you're thinking about families, we are a shelter all county, and we have ongoing family homelessness that's happening in our city. If you're a mother taking care of kids and you're laid off, or maybe you have a sick family member, 14 days is not enough time for you to figure out what to do. And if you're lucky enough to have a support system, 14 days might not be enough time to cobble together the money that you need to make another rent. And also to the smaller property owners, I know that they work with residents in our community, and oftentimes they let people stay beyond that 14 days so they can figure that financial situation out. And the folks that have that relationship are lucky, and we want to be able to make systems align so we can ensure housing security for all residents within the city of Minneapolis. This ordinance is going to help solidify that and help prevent displacement from safe and affordable housing. Presently, while we're in a housing crisis, while we're seeing many people struggling with unsheltered homelessness or going from couch to couch, it'll support renters' ability to maintain their homes, allow additional time to bring rent payments to a current place. It'll help create a much-needed opportunity to maintain stability, and again, potentially stop the unnecessary outcome of homelessness in a time where shelter is very scarce. Renters, again, deserve safe and stable housing. Making this change from 14 days to 30 days is a critical step in the right direction, and I think it just is a tip of the iceberg of what we can do to create a more equitable system. And this is a common sense, pragmatic thing that we can lead on. I'm proud to see that Brooklyn Center took this on. I know that St. Louis Park next door is currently on their second reading of this ordinance. Their mayor is supportive of it, so that gets me energized. And I thank my co-authors, Councilmember Chavez and Councilmember Payne, for their collaboration on this. Look forward to the discussion that we're going to have here, and I would love to move this item for approval today.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Chowdhury, and also we have been joined by Councilmember Jason Chavez from Ward 9. I will make some comments and pass it to Councilmember Cashman and Allison, and then if anyone else would like to speak, I'm sure Councilmember Chavez would like to make comments. All right, so I appreciate everyone coming, and I really appreciate the authors for bringing this forward. I remember being a co-author with Councilmember Allison, the one that passed the 14 days, 2021. And I'll tell you one thing, that someone who has worked in a large, complex apartments, we actually prevented evictions because we realized financially properties save money if they prevent evictions. They can save money. They don't have to go through the relisting. They don't have to go through the the cleaning, the vacant during the time of a next person to come in. So the properties do save money when evictions are prevented, not just individuals, but also individuals. There's a huge cost and harm to the individuals. What does evictions create? It stays in your record for 7 years, right? People lose their jobs because they don't have a place to stay. That's not a priority. Their priority is now, where can we sleep tonight? What can I eat? Families as displaced, the mental health, the substance abuse. We are witnessing right here in Ward 6, in anywhere in the city of Minneapolis if you drive around. Addiction is a mental health, and homelessness is a epidemic in our society right now. And what creates is the system we have. And I think it's a very good thing that we take the calculated measurement to make sure the business community, the landlords are making, renting and making the business and creating jobs, at the same time also protecting individuals' rights. Someone who represents in a district with maybe 90 plus residents, renters in that property, you can imagine how many filing that goes on. Individuals do want to pay their rent. That is the thing. Things do happen sometimes. A job loss happens. Crisis happen to individuals and their lives. And thank God to have organizations like Legal Aid and Homeline, and even Hennepin County Emergency Assistance, which takes 30 days. To cook in, to make sure that individual catches up. So we're all in this together, working with the landlords, working with the residents, and putting up policies that work for all of us, I think is the bottom line of this ordinance. I fully support it. I'll pass it to Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I actually have a couple questions for staff just about the process here. I was wondering how long you would say the process takes on average from the time when an eviction is filed to when it's fully processed in housing court, and maybe there's variation there depending on what the outcome is in court.
Chair Osman and Councilmember Cashman, thanks for that question. Your favorite answer is it depends. An eviction filing, Minnesota actually has one of the fastest statewide eviction proceedings or kind of processes in the country. That's been extended a little bit due to some other, eviction reform policies that did pass at the state level also in 2023. However, it can still be a pretty speedy process, assuming there's not sort of an expedited case being filed due to violence or some kind of extenuating circumstances. The standard process for a non-payment of rent case, the owner would need to provide the state mandated 14-day notice. Then they could file that eviction. They need to have a hearing in court within a couple of weeks. And then it's kind of in the judge's hands what happens at that point. The judge can make a determination that day, either if the renter didn't show up or there's enough evidence right there, they can make the determination that they're ordered to be evicted, in which case they can then dictate, order the sheriff's office to go actually conduct that eviction or that removal. There are lots of different avenues. The renter can ask the court for a few additional days, up to 7 days, if it would be a hardship to move that day. I think it'd be a hardship for most families to move that day. But these cases can take a lot of different twists and turns. They can either happen really, really quickly, or they can be set for a trial. Eviction cases are what's considered a summary proceeding under state statute, so they don't have to follow the sort of longer timelines of traditional civil litigation. But I think that's my best it depends answer for you, unless anyone else has anything to add.
Thanks. I guess what I was trying to understand is the case of a lease violation that is non-payment of rent versus a lease violation that might actually impose like a safety risk to the other folks in the building. So can you help me understand a little bit how, in the case of a tenant posing a safety risk to the other people in the building, how that process works differently and faster to protect everyone who lives there, their neighbors?
Yes, Chair Osman and Councilmember Cashman. So again, this policy would only applies to cases where the only allegation is non-payment of rent. Okay. If the owner is concerned about a breach of the lease or that there's violence on the property, other extenuating circumstances, this policy, the one on the books now, wouldn't even apply, nor would the policy at the state level. So in that case, the owner can move more quickly and expeditiously through that court eviction case, and in certain circumstances, and even expedited eviction court proceeding. So that those would be separate proceedings that can happen on a much quicker pace than the ones covered by this ordinance.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you, Chair Osman, and thank you to the authors. I see we have Councilmember Chavez here as well. Before this policy, myself, Councilmember Osman, Councilmember Cam Gordon, former Council President Bender, authored the 14-day notice. And while it's been a while, I'm not one of the authors on this policy that's being advanced, which I think is incredible, and I'm supporting Councilmember Chowdhury's motion to pass this. While I wasn't the author on this policy, I can tell you what conditions we were looking at back in 2021 and before, and that was we absolutely had one of the fastest eviction processes in the state of Minnesota, and people would dispute that. We would hear landlords disputing that, but all of the data, the courts themselves would all acknowledge, yeah, this is one of the fastest processes that you can have someone out of their unit. And who does that benefit, right? We've heard at least a little bit of what the potential consequences are for a landlord that doesn't receive, payment of rent. But what about for a tenant who is maybe facing a temporary crisis? And let's be real, if a tenant can't pay their rent, they are not living for free. They are under tremendous personal crisis in that moment, right? That's what's happening to them in their lives, right? If they can't pay that rent. And 14 days, the county cannot get that rental assistance out in 14 days. And so we thought the 14-day notice was good for being able to provide somewhat of a backstop. Before there was state action, we felt like going further than that wouldn't really hold up under scrutiny. Now with state action, we know that, and we're confident that this will hold up under scrutiny, and so that's why I'm going to be supporting this today. But we saw that not only did you have a situation, not only did we have an incredibly rapid eviction process, not only did we see that some tenants were just a few days away from being able to make rent, but you also have a tremendous amount of rental units where there is no lease agreement between the tenant and the landlord. Now, if you're saying, if you're in the crowd saying that's not the kind of landlord that I am, okay, great, that's amazing, right? This policy might not apply to you, but it does apply to a lot of people throughout our city who have informal agreements with people saying, just pay me every week, just pay me a quarter of the rent every week, just pay me half the rent twice a month, right? And then when those agreements aren't met, or when there's a dispute or whatever, it can be really hard to parse out, who's in the wrong here if nothing was ever written in paper, or if what was written in paper expired. And so these kinds of protections really go a long way in making sure that we do not have people who have years and years worth of eviction filings on their record. It keeps some, if you want a tenant out of your building, the best way to keep them off the street is to make sure that they don't have an eviction filing on their record, or else they might go from being right in your unit to right outside your unit, and then you're going to complain then, right? And so let's all do our part in making sure that we can make sure that tenants are stabilized, that the county and other resources that are available to tenants who are under crisis can adequately get out the door and into the hands of those tenants, and that when your tenant and you are ready to move on from your relationship with one another, your business relationship with one another, that tenant does have an adequate shot in the marketplace to go rehouse themselves. Because with a bunch of evictions on their record, they will not be equipped to go do that. So that's why I'm going to be supporting this. I commend my colleagues for the 30-day notice. I think it's really going to improve the efficacy of this policy. So thank you.
Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I'm not a member of this committee, so I wasn't going to come, but I heard my name mentioned, so I ran up here. I was going to acknowledge the work that Councilmember Osman and Councilmember Ellison did do in 2021. This work is modeled after that. It was identified in our policy and research briefing that we got from our policy and research team. So I just want to thank you both for the work that you all did, along with city staff, and the work to increase rental protections for our residents across the city. And I also want to take a moment to acknowledge what this means today. It's a good day. I would say it's this committee, and then hopefully the Minneapolis City Council next week adopting a rental protection ordinance across the city, and something that we get to do to address homelessness. This is a homelessness prevention tool. As you all know, we are struggling with homelessness in Minneapolis, and one of the best ways to address homelessness humanely is to prevent it from happening in the first place. And moving this day from a 14-day notice to a 30-day notice is a tool that we get to do as this body to say that we are going to address this crisis head on. So I just want to talk about why this is important, why we are authoring this ordinance, but also this work has started way before us. This work has happened for a very long time, and if it wasn't for the author's work on this previously, we would not be here today. I also want to thank CPED and Reg Services for their presentation today. It was a really helpful understanding of how this ordinance does, what it does in the past. I think this is just moving the date from 14 to 30 days. I know there's conversations about safety that was addressed in the first ordinance when it first passed in 2021. This is just moving the dates from 14 to 30. It gives people 16 extra days to get more support. And at the end of the day, I think this is just a good thing that we are doing. I struggle hearing folks complaining about homelessness and then complaining about homelessness prevention tools. This is what this is today. It's a good thing. Let's vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. Councilmember Ellison asked me for an example, and fortunately, I don't have a actual example, but I will state that my 82-year-old mother is a landlord. She owns a duplex. She provides rental apartments to families. She is very limited income, Social Security. So if she doesn't get her rent, then the mortgage doesn't get paid, which would subsequently make her homeless. There are numbers of our residents in this community that are in those same situations. And we should be aware of the unintended consequences that our policies can impose on people. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that our 50+% rental is not all mega corporations that have the ability to withstand non-payment of rent. There are some property owners who will be financially devastated because they are not receiving the rent, and we extending that will make that a larger reality. So that's my comments.
Thank you, everyone. See no further discussion with Councilmember Chowdhury motion. All those, can you, City Clerk, can you call the roll? Thank you.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Cashman.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Abstain.
Chowdhury.
Aye.
Chair Ellison.
Aye.
Chair Osman.
Aye.
There are 5 ayes and 1 abstention.
That motion carries. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being patient. Our next item, we expected to have many people speak, so I will get on to it. Our next item is a public hearing for interim use permit submitted by Lakeshore Care, Inc. for property located at 918 West Lake Street. I'll ask Lindsay Silas, is it? Yes, from CBET to give us a presentation. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Osmond, members of the committee. I'm Lindsay Silas. I'm a senior planner with CPED Land Use Design and Preservation. The project before you today is a proposed interim use permit at 918 West Lake Street. This site is located at the northeast corner of Lake Street and Colfax. There's currently a single-story commercial building that was most recently used as a Planned Parenthood clinic. The general area along Lake Street is commercially zoned, with this area being CM3 and properties farther west being CM4, and there is a range of densities in the surrounding area, including some single-family homes to the south, ranging all the way up to 6-story residential and mixed-use buildings. The applicant has proposed to establish a recuperative care facility in the existing building with 24 beds. And on the next slides, I will go into a little bit more detail about what a recuperative care facility is. This will provide temporary supportive care and housing for individuals recovering from illness and medical procedures. In the zoning code, this use is categorized as an emergency shelter, and the proposal is that there will be minor modifications to the building itself. The existing surface parking lot to the rear with 8 spaces will be retained. And the applicant had originally applied for a conditional use permit that would have been heard at Planning Commission. That was originally scheduled for the June 24th meeting of the Planning Commission. There have been numerous continuations, both some due to, the initial one was due to an issue with noticing, then there was a request for a continuance from the applicant. And then due to the level of community feedback we received, staff offered the applicant an opportunity to withdraw their conditional use permit application and resubmit as an interim use permit application. Let's see. So an interim use permit, I can just skip forward a bit. The reason that we proposed that to the applicant or offer that to the applicant as an option was because an interim use permit it differs from a conditional use permit in that it is a temporary, a time-limited approval up to a maximum duration of 5 years. It requires all the same findings be met as a conditional use permit with some additional findings, but the difference being that if the applicant applied for a interim use permit, was approved, and was able to establish in the location, they could demonstrate the the benefit of their proposal and their organization to the neighborhood before then coming back in for a permanent approval through a conditional use permit. So even if the interim use permit is approved, the applicant upon expiration will either have to cease operations or come in for a permanent conditional use permit. So a recuperative care facility, it's a new license type offered by Department of Human Services, and these facilities are proposed to provide short-term housing to individuals experiencing homelessness and to help prevent hospitalizations. So the folks who will be served here are people who are being referred from hospitals, clinics, and other medical providers who need additional care before returning to independent living. These are folks who are unhoused or experiencing homelessness, and one of the goals through their stay is to connect them with additional resources to provide longer-term housing for them. This license type requires 24/7 staffing and supervision by an advanced medical practitioner, and the duration of stay for the license is 60 days, and like I mentioned, one of the roles is to assist clients in finding more permanent housing upon discharge. So every use that we see, we have to categorize as something in the zoning code. So not every use directly tracks to something of the same name in the zoning code, if that makes sense. So the zoning, we have determined that this is an emergency shelter because that is what most closely reflects the use type and the proposed license. So an emergency shelter is defined in the zoning code as any facility that provides sleeping accommodations and restroom facilities on a day-to-day basis to persons without permanent housing for periods of greater than 24 hours but less than 6 months. So this is not to be confused with an overnight shelter where folks may be directed here and coming every day and having to leave every day. This is a short-term housing solution where folks are coming for per the license up to 60 days where they will be staying here. They'll be referred through social services or medical facilities. Emergency shelters are a conditional use in every zoning district in the city. So this is CM3, which is a commercial zoning district, but even the lowest density residential districts all the way up through the production districts, all of those allow emergency shelters as a conditional use. And that was a decision made by policymakers such as yourselves to allow these resources throughout the city. And so just similar to any other quasi-judicial matter, what the council is acting on today is determining the facts with the request and determining whether the proposal meets the required findings as set forth in the zoning code. And conditional use permits and interim use permits are one of those things where there is a little bit less authority when it comes to widespread policymaking ability, unlike like a rezoning or comprehensive plan or ordinance creation. So I have a few images here. So this is the site of the project. There are some limited modifications taking place to the building. Staff has had a meeting with the applicant along with staff from Development Services, Fire Inspections, and Health to go over the various requirements that would need to happen to the building itself to make it suitable for habitation. And the site plan showing the parking area. And the internal layout of the sleeping spaces in the building. There's proposed to be one wing of 12 beds for women and one wing of 12 beds for men. And some images. So staff is recommending approval of the interim use permit for a period of 5 years expiring on September 10th, 2029. There are two conditions, one related to the screening of the parking area. It currently doesn't have any screening, so staff is recommending that the applicant provide screening to comply with the site plan review chapter. Staff is also recommending a condition that any proposed smoking area be located at least 30 feet away from any adjacent properties, something that does not appear on the plans but was raised by the direct neighbor after communications with applicants as a primary concern. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. If you guys don't mind, I will have the questions after the public hearing. All right. Now I will proceed to open the public hearing. And I have a list of about 15 people, but I will have an applicant first. If you would like to make a comment, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, members of the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee. I want to start first by thanking you guys for the opportunity to speak today and for your continued service to the community in the city of Minneapolis. My name is Zach. I'm the operations manager at Lakeshore Care.
Mr. Chair and the rest of the council members, my name is Ali Warsami. I'm the owner of Lakeshore Subject.
Today I will be sharing the vision, progress, and our behind our medical respite facility at 918 West Lake Street. At Lakeshore Care, we are committed to supporting individuals who are recovering from medical conditions and need a stable, structured environment for recovery. This facility will provide a safe and supportive space where individuals can regain their health, access critical follow-up care, and receive the necessary support to transition back into the community. We've been engaging directly with the community, meeting with the South Uptown Neighborhood Association and the Lowry Hill East Neighborhood Association. Both meetings were very constructive, and the feedback will be made through the upcoming Wedge newsletter for transparency. We look forward to maintaining these relationships as we move forward. Our team is the backbone of Lakeshore Care. The facility will be staffed by our doctor who has 20 years of experience, who will serve as the medical director. We have a head of nursing with 10 years of experience. We have 3 registered nurses to start and support staff. Additionally, we'll have specialized personnel such as mental health counselors and substance abuse specialists to address the comprehensive needs of our clients at our facility. Our staff is selected not only for their professional qualifications, but also for their commitment to providing compassionate, high-quality care to individuals during the recovery process. To clarify, Lakeshore Care is not a homeless shelter. I want to repeat that again. Lakeshore Care is not a homeless shelter. It is a medical respite facility designed to provide follow-up care to individuals who are unstably housed after a hospital stay or discharge. We service individuals who need short-term medical attention, such as those recovering from surgeries, acute illnesses, or other medical conditions. Some of the key services we will provide here include basic nursing care, case management, and behavioral and social services. We are in the process of securing the necessary certifications and licensing from the Minnesota Department of Health and the Minnesota Department of Human Services. We are actively working with food safety, fire, public health officials, like Lindsay stated, to ensure full compliance with all regulations. So we applied for interim use permit to allow for a time-restrictive initial period of 5 years. This permits us to integrate into the community and demonstrate the positive impact of our operations in the facility before a long-term commitment is made. During recovery, maintaining connections with family and support networks is critical. Therefore, we have established designated visiting hours to allow for safe and structured visitation. Visitors will check in at arrival, receive guidelines, and be monitored by security to ensure that visits are respectful and do not disrupt the facility's environment, internally and externally. Safety is a top priority for both our clients, our staff, and the surrounding neighborhood. Our facility will have 24 on-site security and a surveillance system in the interior, exterior, and behavioral protocols and expectations for the clients that we house at the facility. We have also implemented a strict anti-loitering policy to prevent clients from congregating outside the facility. This was noted as a concern from several businesses in the area. This will be enforced also by our security personnel, and we will maintain clear boundaries with signage around the building, along with that security personnel that will be around the clock watching that. Additionally, we're going to appoint a community liaison officer to maintain communication with local residents and businesses, ensuring that any concerns that are addressed, that happen, are addressed promptly and proactively before they need to be escalated. To ensure the safety of our clients in the community, we will enforce a strict curfew policy. Clients will be expected to remain indoors during those hours to minimize disruptions and incidents. For those who miss curfew, our security team will reach out to ensure their safety and readmit them under specific guidelines. Repeated curfew violations will result in additional supervision the following day and throughout their stay. We're very excited about the potential of Lakeshore Care to serve individuals in need while fostering a positive relationship with the community. We believe that the care we provide will not only help clients recover, but also strengthen the neighborhood by reducing the burden on hospitals and ensuring that people have a safe place to recover before transitioning to stable housing. Wow.
Thank you so much for your testimony. You ran out of minutes, but I appreciate your comments.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, now we are moving to the public comments. You have 1 minute, as we have a lot of people, so please be respectful and stay on task talking about Lakeshore. So I will call John Hickins, and the next two people are Brian Walters and Raho Huvewan.
Hi, Council. My name is John Higgins, and I'm representing the tenants of Buzz's Lofts of Uptown, which is directly across the street. There's roughly 136 units in this property. It's an affordable housing property. There's 175 residents. None of us want this in our neighborhood. We're concerned for the safety and security of the kids that have to go to a school bus stop right next to this location. We're worried about safety and security when and if somebody is discharged against medical advice or they leave on their own. Where are they going to go? I work in recovery. I work as a peer recovery specialist. And what happens when you go to a rehab and you leave because you're breaking the rules is they take your stuff and they put you outside the front door. You're off their property. They don't care. That's going to come into my front door to a property where we have a door that, because of the ADA, we have to have open for 15 to 30 seconds every time somebody comes in it. Where are you going to go when you're kicked out to the street? You're going to come into our building. We're concerned about the actual design of this building for these people. There's no windows being put in the building to make it so that these people actually get to see. Prisoners get to have windows. People in this building aren't going to have that. And then thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Brian Walters.
Brian Walters with Yellow Tree. We manage the property directly across the alley from here. We constantly deal with homeless break-ins. We deal with the issues that the homeless population brings. This does not solve the homeless population. They said it themselves. This is not a homeless shelter. This is only going to increase the concentration of homeless people on a commercial corridor in our city, in our district. It's going to bring them from hospitals to this location. It is not taking the people off of the street that need services. They're not coming here to get services for their mental health or for their addiction problems. They're coming here because they broke their hand or they have a medical issue. They are free to come here and roam about our community the entire day. They will have the same effect that a homeless person that's on the street that doesn't have a broken foot has. They will still be in the community and increasing it on this commercial corridor. Where should these things go? These should go in light industrial areas, near hospitals, suburban medical offices. This is where they're going to go, is where the lowest cost commercial real estate is, which is the poorest neighborhoods, the most desperate commercial districts. That is where this is going to be unless you come up with a policy as to where this should go. DHS is currently not put this license type on hold. Does anyone know why? Does anyone up here know why DHS has this license on hold right now? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Good afternoon, Rob Lubinow with Yellow Tree. Again, to add to that, we're not debating the need for this service, but we are asking you to understand where the service is going. It's a service that's needed, but it does not need to be on a commercial districts immediately on a goods and services. So I do feel that the moratorium should be placed on this so you guys can define the zoning code and the ordinance that allows this very specific use. You're hearing one today, you're hearing one at your next meeting, and there's more to come. We just have to understand where these go in the city because it is a need. It needs to go somewhere, but it can't be on a goods and service corridor. If you do not take that action to deny, I do believe you should add additional basic conditions that should be required for any housing or medical, being a need for green space. I believe there's 0% open green space on this site. They need a place to go outside, have a smoke, don't stand in a parking lot to smoke. They need a transit plan. How are they getting dropped off? Again, what happens when are they taken somewhere once their time is done? I don't even think a transit, yeah.
Thank you. Our next three people are Andrea I'm sorry, can't pronounce the last name. Oh, I'm sorry, yep. Corbett, yep.
Chair Osman, it's Rachel Dominguez.
Oh, Rachel Dominguez, Andrea, and also Ryan Knox. Those three people are next.
Thank you. My name is Rachel Dominguez. I own Third Eye Psychic Salon, which is 2 doors down from this proposed business. I agree with all of them, but I'm here because I'm against the fact that it's a for-profit venture. I don't think our tax dollars should support an entity that is incentivized to provide only the bare minimum services. The LLC behind this proposal has no experience delivering this kind of specialized service, and the building plans clearly show that profit is a primary motive. They propose cramming 24 convalescent individuals into tiny partitions in a windowless formal auto zone on a commercial corridor. This is a cash grab, not a community service. If all the relevant stakeholders like the health department, the county, nonprofits, etc., identified this location as like ideal for this kind of nonprofit facility, I'd support it, but it's not. It's a private for-profit entity seeking a profit from state dollars. I find that to be morally wrong to privatize the response to homelessness in Minneapolis. I find it to be morally wrong to profit from human suffering. This is disaster capitalism. You should vote against this, and should have a moratorium on any other kind of facilities like this in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, Andrea.
Hi, my name's Andrea Corbin. I want to say shame on this administration. After policy is being passed to reduce our tax base in this city, where are we going to come up with the funds to pay for all the things that we need in our city if you are eliminating the funds? Stop doing this. Stop destroying our city. We need funds to pay for programs like this, and this is not a way to do it. Thank you.
Ryan Knox.
Council members, my name is Ryan Knox. Placing an emergency shelter in the vicinity of numerous small businesses' storefronts is improper city planning. I am not an expert on zoning matters, but I believe a Vivo Village's placement in a production mixed-use zone is the proper location for this kind of shelter. Placing it right next to liquor stores and bars seems to be the worst place for both shelter residents and the surrounding community. Public safety needs to be recognized as a valid reason for denial of this interim use. The Lynn Lake area cannot sustain another arson attack like the one committed by a homeless man who set 917 West Lake Street on fire for fun. I fear that the welfare of the children who frequent the education programs offered by the neighboring High Point Center for Printmaking are at risk and will be jeopardized by this decision. I cannot fathom these children seeing the same disgusting act of a man masturbating on a nearby sidewalk like I saw earlier this summer. Council members, Policy 56 of 2040
time, sir.
allows you to review your policies and for the better of small business and ensure that we are not being affected negatively by these consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is John Megan.
Council members, thank you. I'm a 48-year business owner at the corner of Lynn Lake. I was at Hennepin Lake for 23 years and 25 years at Lynn Lake. I live in the neighborhood, 2 blocks away. My world nowadays consists of pulling all the aluminum foil wrappers and the broken Bic pens that are being used for people to smoke crack outside the back door of my business, laying on the sidewalks. And during the day, these residents, as they move around, recidivism is going to definitely be a problem. And I don't know why South Minneapolis just seems to be having a share of people whose homelessness is related directly to drug use, which is out of control, including with their children. They just put bags over their heads or blankets, and they smoke crack right on the sidewalk, right outside my business. This is not going to help us. This is only going to make things worse. I'm sorry. It's a tough problem that you all have to solve. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. The next person is Joe Huggs. Joe Hugh. All right. Next person is Abio Rose.
Hello. So Joseph Hughes is the owner of 917 Lake. He had a run out. His statement was.
Can you state your name?
Abiyu Rose.
Thank you.
Was the recent arson fire by homeless individual has caused a severe amount of stress, damage, and interruption for our businesses and residents. Approving this shelter will cause severe negative impact towards the businesses in the area, and this type of use would be better in more of a light industrial area. And I manage the property there, and we've already lost 3 tenants due to the fire that happened with the dumpster. And fortunately, the tenants are safe, but 3 of them had to leave because the dumpster burned the back of the stair, almost killed 3 of the tenants. So this is something that you guys all have to put into consideration because 3 tenants could have been killed.
Thank you for your testimony. Next person is David Ditloff.
Hello, my name is David Detloff. I am the owner and lead artist at the Ink Lab Tattoo Shop at 919 West Lake Street. I've been in business there for 29 years. Uptown requires people from all over the city to come to our neighborhood to spend money at restaurants, bars, retail, and service industry. This proposal does not help bring more people into the area to spend money. The block that this is on between Bryant and Colfax is 99% occupied entirely by retail and service and restaurants and bars. Bringing in a shelter of this nature is not going to make my clients more comfortable coming to the neighborhood and parking and having to walk through there. There are safety concerns. There are also transportation concerns. Are they going to be bringing their patients via ambulance down Colfax? Colfax is a very narrow road, can barely fit 2 cars down it. Now we're going to be talking metro mobility transport, bus transport, ambulance transport. This is not the correct location for a service like this.
Thank you for your comment. Next person is Jennifer Mellis.
Jennifer Milas, thank you so much for today. Today I'm coming to you as a Minneapolis homeowner. I'm actually the president of the HOA for Lumen on Lagoon. We have 44 condos, all homeowners who pay real estate taxes. We do not want this emergency shelter less than 1.5 blocks away from our residents. This area is not the place for this facility in Uptown. It should be positioned near a hospital, not in a residential area. We already have a homeless problem. Let's not add to it. We have boarded up windows in the retail area of our building and have lost numerous businesses within Uptown. Our building alone has spent $45,000 just to upgrade our cameras, fencing within our secured garage because we have people entering our secured garage. Our residents and I want the Uptown of old. We want the streets to be safe, crime lowered, and homeless eliminated. Uptown is still healing from COVID, and now the neighborhood is dealing with a massive 2-year construction project. Please, please do not approve this tenant as at this location today.
Thank you. Next person is Femity Howard.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for letting us come and talk. I wanted to speak to you today in opposition of this as well. I agree with everything everyone else has said. I work at 919 West Lake Street, Minneapolis. I'm Team Jenkins. I just wanted to say I'm a longtime resident and business owner in Ward 10. And I wanted to speak about how the arson affected our business. The homelessness has affected our business. We constantly have people coming in the front door. I've had people interrupt my consults with my clients. And my clients tell me that they don't feel safe in the neighborhood because of the homeless presence. And I have a deep concern that this is going to increase his presence, and it's going to make it harder for me to make a living. I'm uniquely positioned to speak on this as someone who has previously been homeless, and I have the state medical review team has certified me as a disabled person, and I've managed to come out of that and be a business owner. And I don't know what I'll do if I don't have a place to work anymore. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next person is Jeff Hall.
Hello, council members. Thank you for having us today. My name is Jeff Hall. I'm with Hall Sweeney Properties and part of the ownership group of an apartment building right next door that has 91 homes in it. I'm also the original one of the founding board members of Beacon Collaborative Housing, which does supportive housing for homeless people to have housing stability. So I think in Minneapolis, we all want a thriving city that's prosperous, diverse, has opportunity, and is safe. And what we've seen, my problem, these services are really important, right? We all want homeless people to find the opportunity, stability, and prosperity that they deserve, and health. And we all want businesses to thrive because we rely on them to pay taxes, to pay for services, right, for the whole city. And what we've seen in Uptown, and my problem is with the particular location. It's very visible, commercial corridor, and because it's in Uptown. Uptown, as we all know, suffered greatly in 2020 in the summer, right? We all saw the city failed to protect the neighborhood from buildings that were burned. And I'm sorry, one last thing. There was a 2020 where there's a destruction in the neighborhood. Security is a constant issue. And this 2-year reconstruction, you're killing the businesses in Uptown. It's too vulnerable and traumatized. It's not the right location.
Appreciate your comment. Next person is Lawrence Thomas.
I know you all do your best, but the fact that we don't even have 2 minutes for comment here is disappointing to say the least. So I'll do the best that I can with my minute. Now, to her credit, Lindsay Silas, sorry if I mispronounced that, Lindsay, did give me quite a bit of time on the phone because my name is Lawrence Thomas and I owned a business directly adjacent from 918 West Lake Street. The same business that was actually attacked by an unhoused person, arsonist, and I've yet to be in my office. It's been 2 months. I employ people. They haven't been in my office either. I'm just fortunate enough that we can work remote. My neighbors can't say the same, including Matisse, which is out of business now, the salon that's next to me. So Lindsay in our conversation told me that the city doesn't select these locations, the applicant does, Lakeshore, which is indicative of the applicant's lack of experience because this location is not fit for what they're trying to put in there. For many reasons, some questions I'd ask is, why is this not closer to a healthcare facility? How is Colfax Avenue going to facilitate transporting all these people when it's such a narrow street? And last thing I'll say, since I'm cut short again, only one more minute, is that Uptown can be the place that Prince sung about before. We just need your help to do it.
Thank you. Next person is it Julie Wicklod? Yes. Please pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
Hi, council members. Julie Wickland. I am a 20-year active Minneapolis resident, and I'm here to express my concern, agree with what the other comments have been, but about the provision of a 5-year license for an emergency recovery facility to an applicant with no prior experience running facilities of this kind. Additionally, this applicant only formed articles of incorporation in March. In addition, this location does not seem like a good fit for this type of business. As you've heard, Uptown's community and small businesses continue to be heavily impacted by road construction, crime, and still coming out of COVID. It would seem like it would make more sense to put a facility like this in a light industrial area and or closer to a healthcare facility instead of in the midst of an area with small businesses still struggling that need other businesses in the area to complement what they're doing, to bring in more customers. This will not draw in more customers to this area. So please reconsider this facility for another location. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. You want to address the club? Okay. Yes. With that, that was the last person. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Yes, please. Welcome. Say your name.
My name is Daniel Suter. I'm a Ward 8 resident. I am speaking in my individual capacity. I'm really disappointed to hear the outpouring against some of the poorest, neediest people in this city. These are unhoused people who are recovering from surgeries, some of the most incapacitated people in our city. And all we hear is, not here, not here. We don't care where, just not in my backyard, not in my neighborhood. Why do you have the right to enjoy this neighborhood and they don't? There's no evidence that these people are going to be a problem. You heard about the extensive security procedures that are going to be required by the license holder. Uptown is a dense, transit-rich neighborhood that makes transportation in and out easy for people who may not have cars, may not have access in and out. And it's really disappointing to hear this NIMBY drumbeat on the same prepared talking points. You should all be ashamed.
Thank you for your comments. No clapping, please. Excuse me.
Flip me off. Hey, sit out.
Hey, let's not get violent though.
Hey, that guy just flipped me off.
Don't get violent.
Sir?
I was not getting violent. I want to know why he just flipped me off in the middle of a city council meeting.
You're disrupting the meeting. You take it up after the meeting.
Please, let's be respectful and no more clapping. Clapping are not allowed, so please. That was the last speaker. Yes, please state your name, your neighbors.
My name is Brenna Wernersbach. I'm a business owner at 908 West Lake Street. My history is in psychology and in mental health care, and my concerns about this are not that these people don't deserve care, but the plans for this are concerning. The space for these individuals, any private space for them to receive counseling or care or medical care are so minimal. People have mentioned there's no green space, there's no windows. It's not incongruent to be concerned about Uptown and the well-being of its current residents and tenants and businesses, and to also be concerned about the people that this claims to serve. My concerns are for both. I don't think this meets its goals. I don't think this is the place for it. I do think the services are needed, and I think that Uptown deserves more care and consideration than a single minute for the people who have made time to be able to be here and speak on this issue. We've been trying to speak on this issue for months, and the neighbors of the business have not been contacted by Lakeshore Care or been invited into conversation or to share these concerns. This has been our only forum.
Thank you so much for your comments. With that, I will close the public hearing and ask any of my colleagues have questions for staff. Councilmember Rayville and then Councilmember Allison. And Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have questions for staff. Lindsay, if you could come up. And thank you, Lindsay, for all the time you put in on this. I know this has been very controversial. So the applicant had talked about visitation hours. Do you know what those hours are?
There's no requirement in the zoning code for visitation hours. I had indicated there were some questions about visitation hours, and the applicant can speak more to that.
Okay, great. Maybe the applicant could come up, please.
Thank you, Councilmember. So for visitation, that is something that we're deciding. We actually want to prepare that for our soft opening is scheduled for January if this permitting goes well. So we have about 6 months. We're drafting up our policies and procedures. As Lindsay said, there's stuff that's required from us, but I believe that we've taken, the best practice approach to all of what we're doing here and what we're planning to do here. And I think that there's a lot of NIMBY stuff that's going on as well, because in the last Planning Commission as well, they stated, it was Planning Commission, I think on July 24th, same thing, same concerns, and the members of the council said, okay, everybody has reasons why they don't want this here. Where should a place like this go? I think that's the question that should be asked. So we're 2 miles away from.
So excuse me. I asked you about visitation hours. How about curfew hours? You said there was going to be curfew hours. Have you?
Yes, our curfew right now, everything is tentative, but we're scheduling that at around 8, 9, 10 p.m. So we're still discussing, and this is just preliminary regulatory stuff that we're trying to approve. And we have met with associations. We met with South Uptown and Lowry Hill East associations as well.
And have you met with the business community?
Also, I was contacted, and I gave about 40 minutes on a call with, I think, High Point, and I invited them. I said we can schedule something, we can do something, and they never reached out. So what actually the neighborhood associations, what they did is they went to Aisha's ward, and her aide scheduled out a Zoom meeting between us and the neighborhood board, the adjacent neighborhood board. So it seems that they're saying, the last comment was there was no collaboration made. There was no attempt. So we're planning on having this. We're planning on doing this, but there needs to be an attempt other than just not wanting this not to happen here. You have to collaborate.
Thank you. I just want to ask these questions. So another question I got, I was asked to ask you, is if a registered sex offender became a client, would the immediate area be notified?
Yes, it would.
Okay, great. And then, so I think I know the answers, but you don't have any experience. You've never had this type of business before.
So I'm in these services as well, but my partner here is he has the extensive expertise on 24-hour care and the liability and stuff that comes with it. So
thank you.
Okay.
He can come and state some as well.
And then, is it true that you're licensed on hold? You're not licensed by the state?
So the state, actually, I spoke to legislation at the DHS, the policy arm. They've informed me that they paused enrollment and certification to this program and licensing for this program because IT department is still working on the reimbursement and claim model and IT system. So that's set there to finish hopefully by this month, and then they're going to resume enrollment. So but the state has paused enrollment.
So thank you.
Sir, we have a staff. Kimberly, welcome.
Hi, Kimberly Holine, manager of the Land Use Design and Preservation Team. That's a question that came up at Planning Commission also on another similar type use. So there's a proper sequence of events that occurs before an entity like this or a facility like this can receive a license from the state. They do need local government approval first. So they would not come to the city with an approved license. The city approval portion needs to happen before the application is deemed complete for review by the state licensing authority.
Great, thanks. So that makes sense. And then I have one last question and then a suggestion is, and maybe Lindsay, you can answer this. Is it possible to facilitate a meeting with the local business community? I see the business people nodding. They'd like to do that. Would you be open to that?
We are very up for it and ready.
Okay. Thank you. And then I would move to delay this one cycle so that business meeting can happen between the applicant and the business community. get these things resolved.
Councilmember, oh, yes, sir, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I would just think it would be wise to consult with staff regarding where we are in the 60-day time frame. I'm unaware myself.
Staff, would you be able to answer that?
Yeah, because the application was withdrawn and then resubmitted as an interim use permit, the current 60-day time period expires on October 8th, which we can extend for another 60 days. So there should be sufficient time.
Thank you. Would you be willing to meet with your neighbors?
Yes, we have with residential neighborhood groups, and we can definitely do that with the business groups as well, and those business associations.
Thank you very much. That would be great.
Thank you, council members.
Councilmember Rainville. Councilmember Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see we've got a additional address of the question, maybe, previous question?
Yes, well, Mr. Chair and
I'll defer to the chair.
the council members, yes, we're willing to meet with the neighborhood and the business people in the neighborhood. However, we are in a timeline. We need to, launch this program as soon as I was anticipating within the next 30 days. So provided that we're going to have this meeting within next 30 days, we're willing to do that. And I would like to make one more comment. I understand and I respect, the neighbors and the businesses, made their comments known here, but I really do not appreciate the fact that other remarks were made here about our experience. The fact that we're trying to take money from the state
can I recommend
and
something
things
real
of
quick?
those nature.
Hey, excuse me.
Sir.
I just want to. I'm going to save you from yourself here, real quick.
Thank you,
Councilmember Rainville. I think it's Councilmember Rainville is offering, I think, a little bit of an olive branch, offering an opportunity for you to extend an olive branch to your neighbors, to your direct neighbors. I think you should take it, and I think that and I say that basically understanding a few things to be true. One of which is that when it comes to a use like this, you've got rights to exercise here, and that the city council actually, under these circumstances, we've got limited scope we don't have full discretion to just simply deny. I know that that's frustrating to neighbors, that's frustrating but that's true. You hold that card. I think that it would be a mistake to leverage that card and come into a situation that has a lot of hostility, some of which, maybe not all, some of which can be alleviated and addressed by you two, right? Have that conversation. I would offer that you have that conversation in community and not here on the public forum. And so I did have a few questions, mostly for staff. You guys are welcome to sit down.
Please, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
One is, and I wanted for public record, and I think I know the answers to all these, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't mistaken. There were a couple of comments around public funding, city funding going into this project that were made. Are there any city funds that are going into this project? Any public funds? I mean, I guess I'll ask, are there any city funds going into this project?
Not that I'm aware of. So
Okay.
I do not think any city funds are being contributed to this project.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure that we had that clarified. I did have one question related to the state licensing question that Councilmember Rainville answered, and that is, do we currently have a timeline on when the IT issues will be sorted out, and do we know, and I guess, obviously, this use is not going to operate without a license.
Right, yes. So I don't know the timeline for the DHS hold. So they've put a hold on this type of license for the time being. The applicant has, applied for the approval from the city to possibly establish this use, essentially. There are other steps that they'll have to take along the way, right? They'll have to get building permits for any of the improvements that are required by the building code and fire inspections. We confirmed with the health department that they likely will not need a board and lodge license through the city. Typically, emergency shelters are just licensed through the state. So, they'll have to make sure that the building, any improvements are made, and that their license is obtained before they would be able to establish here.
And sorry, lost track of my question real quick. So if if they get the license, then they'll activate the building. If they don't, then regardless of what happens here, the status of the building will be essentially status quo of whatever it is today.
Right. So you're asking, like, if this permit were approved today and they weren't able to get the license,
Right.
yes, if there was any other proposal for this building, that would need to come back through for whatever sort of relevant zoning approvals. Even if it was a different type of emergency shelter, we would say, you need to come back in and go through the process, either a conditional use permit or interim use permit if those were applicable.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions I have. I was going to just follow up with just a statement, which is to say that, for the applicant, I think that your ability to be transparent, build bridges, is in your favor here, right? Certainly the law's on your side. You could sort of rest on that if nothing else. But I think it is in your interest. I think it's in the interest of your potential clients that you go and you build bridges. I think Councilmember Rainville has offered a potential pathway for that. So I offer that. For some of the testimony that we heard here, I think I'm glad from those who spoke about the need for these kinds of services. There are some folks who spoke from personal experience of being on the street. I find that very moving. But I also want to caution that we not sit here and make correlations that do not actually exist. And if I heard in doing our due diligence before committee, we heard about the fire that we discussed the fire that occurred. It is tragic. It is messed up. But you cannot put that on a business that does not currently exist. And I want us all to think about those things, right? So that's my message to the applicant. Build your bridges where you can. But my message to the neighbors is don't create boogeyman out of things that don't exist. Get to know this applicant, get to understand what this use is, and hopefully we can have a viable way forward. But that's all I have. And I'm happy to, and because of the status of the 60-day notice, I'm happy to support Councilmember Rainville's motion.
Thank you so much. Just want to do a time check. We have 2 more public hearings. So, Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osmond. I guess I have a question for staff around just the labeling. I know you stated that it's kind of challenging to put a title on this type of facility. It seems like it could be a treatment facility. I mean, that's what's going on there. I'm not understanding why that language, because the emergency shelter language is what's kind of creating this fear. And I'm not sure if it's appropriate.
Yeah, I mean,
based on what you said, even.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so the zoning code when it was rewritten in July last year, we reduce the categories for types of congregate living, right? So we kind of have a few categories for these types of uses. One is an overnight shelter, somewhere where people are going just for the night and then leaving. One is an emergency shelter, so this is this type of use where the duration of stay is 24 hours to 6 months. And then beyond that is a state credentialed care facility, which is anything that's licensed by the state for 6 months or longer. And there are specific uses in the zoning code that have to do with medication treatment, like a medication-assisted treatment facility, but that's more for like withdrawal management that's being managed actively by medication, and where those types of facilities are allowed is much more limited than where an emergency shelter is allowed. So this is just a case where the zoning code is only so comprehensive, and we often have to rely on zoning staff and the zoning administrator to make determinations about what is the most similar use, because even though there are these different nuances between uses, we just don't have the capacity to have a zoning code that has a list of every possible use that might exist.
That's unfortunate. I mean, because it appears to me that, I've worked at Turning Point, which is a treatment facility that people stay at for 30 days, 60 days, and they receive medical and therapeutic assistance to overcome their issues. So it just seems like the code should have addressed that. I'm not sure why.
Councilmember Jenkins, I will just add, When we adopted the new zoning code, as Lindsay said, we tried to broaden out the use categories for facilities that are licensed by either the Department of Human Services or the State Department of Health. In doing that, we broaden those out, but the state continues to create new license types, and we have to examine those license types and then retrofit them into one of the existing categories in the zoning code. So this is a license type that did not exist when the zoning code was drafted, and once it was created and our staff was notified, we had to consult with the zoning administrator to determine what was the best fit based on the current zoning categories that we had and the use categories that we had. And part of the conversation there was around length of stay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of unfortunate that our code doesn't really have a category for this use. But I had a couple of questions for the applicants, if that is appropriate. One is how are residents coming to this facility? Are they applying? Are they being referred by a medical facility?
So the only, and when I say only, the only way that clients can get referred into this facility, it has to be doctor to doctor. So a doctor at a hospital, say HCMC, has to put in a referral to a facility, a medical care facility like this, and it can only be doctor to doctor. So the doctor would give commands, change the wound every 3 hours, or do this or do that, and then send it over to a recuperative care facility. They would take those commands and give it to their head of nurses, and then they would be doing the daily services on the patient.
So it's only, this facility would only be caring for whatever surgeries, wounds, injuries that people have, not addressing addiction issues, etc.
No, so we're an individual can't get admitted into the facility with just a substance abuse issue or a mental health issue alone. There needs to be some type of physical acute condition that was looked at by an MD at a hospital, and then that's how the eligibility for the services works. So they have to have a physical acute condition that they're recovering from.
So if they had a dual issue, broken arm and addiction, would both of those?
So the qualifying requirement is that physical acute condition, but if there is some dual diagnosis, then we can still admit them on the basis of that physical acute condition they're trying to recover from.
And then there seems to be a lot of concern about the design of the building and statements that there are no windows. Is there a plan to address that, or is that accurate?
So in terms of the windows, I don't think that is a requirement. This is a short-term facility for individuals. They're only going to be here average stay, because this was a program that was done by mHealth Fairview in 2021. So they're only there for average around 2 weeks. And in terms of the facility layout,
2 months. You mean 2 months?
The max stay is 60 days, but the average stay is around 2 to 3 weeks, or even less than that sometimes. So in terms of the windows, that's something that I don't think we'll need to address, because what's more important here is the services that are being done for these for that population.
Well, I mean, I would suggest that sunlight is a therapeutic. I mean, I think research has proven that people need and heal better with access to green space, lights, natural lighting, etc. Were you going to address that?
Yes. So I just wanted to once again clarify, and I appreciate for your you piggyback on this for seconds ago. I mean, this is not a homeless shelter, and I know that freaks people out. You know, the things that people imagine when we say homeless shelter, They see a lineup of people in the morning, line up for breakfast or lunch, and people, crowded on the street. Those are the sort of things people imagine when we talk about homeless shelter. But this is a short stay, a short-term facility where people stay, as my colleague said, 60 days. And during that time, we attend their issues, and then they transition to a permanent housing. That's what it is. And I completely agree, Council Member Allison. When we talk to the neighborhood organizations, they had the similar questions, that these folks have. But when we talk to them, they understand what it is and what's not. And I have to clarify one more time, it's not a homeless shelter. And we're going to have that conversation with folks and clarify, when it's again and when it's more, and as much as we have to.
Thank you. I just want to remind us that we have to adjourn by 4:15. We have two more. Councilmember.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Councilmember Osman. This can be a question for you. I think I'm wondering about the policy you might have in place for bringing substances into the building, whether that's alcohol, drugs. How are you going to prevent that? As well as, if one of your patients is going out and is undergoing treatment, right, for addiction, if they come back intoxicated, do you have a policy in place around that?
Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have over 15 policies that we're willing to share. We don't have them today, but we have policies for every edge case, including the one that you stated, and that's something that I think requires more time, and those can be presented and spoken about and discussed with any stakeholder or individual.
Yeah, and then I did ask staff previously about whether there would be need for a lodging license. It sounds like that's a no right now, but if that answer does change, I would just appreciate knowing, because, this is a new case at the city that you and, a few others are part of the first, and so we're learning how this relates to the rules that we have at the city. I'm going to second Councilmember Rainville's motion to delay a cycle. I think it's a really good idea for you to meet with the business owners. I know, and I've seen already, that when High Point contacted you, because I saw it in their public comment, that they were worried about where the designated smoking area would be. Is it going to be adjacent to where they have children in their educational facility? That was put in as a condition of that license, and that was addressed, and it sounds like it's something that you were very amenable to working into your plan to accommodate them. So I'm hoping that the meeting that you have with business owners can work to address more of those really reasonable asks from folks. Maybe it's green space, maybe it's loading and drop off, and I hope that can be a really productive meeting.
Yep. Thank you so much. You can have a sit. Thanks, everyone, for your comments, and I appreciate everyone for showing up today and speaking out. I support Councilmember Rainville's motion to delay one more cycle, and I want to thank the staff for being patient. I know this item has been in their work for a long time ago. So thanks, everyone. I will have Councilmember Chowdhury.
Can I just make one last statement?
Is it okay if I do my comment?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair. And then I think you'll help us close this out.
I thought he was getting ready to close.
Okay. I think for me, this might help us segue into moving forward the delay as well. I'm supportive of it. The applicant is amenable, and that's something that I look for if we're moving forward to a delay. My question is actually for our city attorney. This is a quasi-judicial matter, so...
It's not.
It's not? Oh, well, never mind. Now I have clarification that this is not a quasi-judicial matter. But I will ask, what are the...
Kimberly,
is it?
Mr. Chair, if I might, it's not a direct quasi-judicial matter in terms of the standard that most matters in that capacity that you see are that they've been appealed from a planning commission or the Board of Adjustment based on the interim use nature of the request. It comes directly to this committee. There still would be, it's still in the general quasi-judicial realm, and it would not be appropriate for council members to advocate while it's still being considered. But I think it would be possible to, arrange for meetings and discussions to take place. But I would caution against advocating or taking a position before a vote is taken.
Thank you. May I want to just ask my question. So in making our vote, what looks like next cycle, if we're making a final determination, what are the things that we have to consider in this matter? Do we need to have findings? If it's a denial for approval, are we tied to any specific reasons for approving or denying in cases that we've had before? I know that it has been more stringent in the past.
Mr. Chair, Council Vice President, that is correct. Certainly, it is best practices and required in many instances to have findings. The staff report itself generally operates as the staff position with regard to findings. Certainly, if there were to be a denial, there would have to be findings constructed and drafted. The staff report outlines what those required elements are and what those considerations are that must be made on any interim use permit, and they largely mirror the considerations for conditional use permits. There are other things there's other possibilities that could be discussed, and certainly you can discuss with my office and with staff in terms of, are there additional conditions that could possibly be put on this this application. An interim use permit has a maximum of a 5-year period. I believe that's what's been recommended here, but it's possible that that period could be shortened if it was the council's desire to have a shorter period that would require, basically monitoring and a renewal or an extension at some point at a shorter duration. And so there are, options that are probably within the spectrum between denial and full approval, and certainly things that I know our professional staff in my office would be able to discuss with the council.
Thank you, Mr. Fussy. For the public, I'll note I asked that question because depending on items that we get up here, we have a different set of rules or a spectrum of options in the way that we have to act and make decisions off of. So thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
Yes, Councilmember Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. I just wanted to know, because it was stated that this is the only opportunity to communicate with the council, and to date, I've received many emails regarding this issue, as well as phone calls. So there's other options, and those emails get included in our public record. And so there's more opportunities than just attending these public hearings. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. With the motion from Councilmember Rainville to delay one more cycle, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The motion carries, and thank you everyone for coming. Our next item is regarding modification of 3 tax increment financing plan. I'll ask Angie Skoldum from CBET to give us that presentation.
Excuse me, Chair Osmond, the next item is the land sale hearing. Number 8.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Item number 8 is our land sale for 2021 13th Avenue North and 2103 West Broadway. I'll ask Suad Abdi from CBET to give us a presentation. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks for being patient today.
No, it's been great listening. Thank you, committee members, council members. My name is Suad, and I'm a Senior Project Coordinator in CPED Business Development. I'm going to provide you a brief overview of the proposed land sale and development terms for city-owned properties at 2114 23rd Avenue North and a portion of 2103 West Broadway. Staff is requesting approval of the 7 actions outlined in the report, including the land sale and development terms with Neon, Northside Economic Opportunity Network. The sale proposed is at a fair market rate. The sale complies with the city's land use disposition policy. Currently, the 2114 23rd Avenue parcel is a vacant grassy area, and the 2103 West Broadway is a surface parking lot. Both parcels are adjacent to the Capri Theater. Founded in 2006, Neon is an organization dedicated to supporting low to moderate income entrepreneurs in North Minneapolis. They provide business training, resources, and financial support. In 2021, Neon secured a $1 million federal grant to develop a food-based entrepreneurship project. In 2022, the City Council and Mayor granted an exclusive development rights to these city parcels to explore for Neon to build a food incubator and a parking lot. This proposed project involves constructing a 2-story commercial facility. This will include shared and commercial kitchens, retail space for food businesses, dining options, communal seating, food storage, and office spaces. The city is proposing to sell 12,660 square feet of the 2103 West Broadway parcel and the full lot at 2114 23rd Avenue North to Neon for $260,000, which is a fair market rate determined by an independent appraiser. The remaining portion of the 2103 West Broadway parking lot will be maintained by continue to be owned by the City of Minneapolis. Initial environmental assessments suggest that there will be some significant soil correction needed. To address this, staff is recommending holding the $260,000 land sale proceeds in escrow to assist Neon with potential soil correction costs. Neon will conduct further testing, and if remediation is necessary, the soil escrow will be used. This will ensure that the project can proceed without any financial delays due to unforeseen soil conditions at the site. Additionally, Neon will build a brand new 31-space parking lot on city-owned parcels at 2300 and 2306 Penn Avenue North. The city will not be selling these lots, but will be leasing to Neon for the parking lot for future development. A third-party appraiser has determined the fair market lease rate for the parking lot to be $4,704. However, staff is recommending leasing to Neon for $1 a year for 5 years with an option to renew. This reduced rate is because Neon will pay to build and maintain the parking lot while they lease it. The parking lot will serve Neon's project and be available for public use after Neon's business hours, including the Capri Theater patrons. The total budget for this project is $21.6 million, with significant funding secured through grants, fundraising, and contributions from key stakeholders, including Hennepin County and the state of Minnesota. In conclusion, staff is recommending the City Council approve the actions in the report and authorize agreements with Neon to support the redevelopment of these city-owned parcels as outlined in the attached term sheet. Thank you, and this concludes my presentation. The Neon team is here to speak to the project, should you have any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I will proceed to open the you have a question? Yes.
Just before we get to the public hearing, we also have our brownfield grant rounds that we apply on behalf of businesses. Will we be including this in our brownfield, or is this would they be appropriate applicant for brownfield remediation in addition to the escrow? But should soil remediation exceed that escrow, do we have contingencies there?
Through the chair, great question, Council Member. They can apply a separate grant application. I am not aware that they have submitted. I think the applicant could best address that. But if there is an application from them, the applications will come back to the City Council for approval to accept applications to apply for brownfield grants. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Warren McLean.
My name is Warren McLean, President of NEON. First of all, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee and council. First of all, we're grateful for all the work that the city has done on our behalf. CPED has been outstanding, and Sawano has been a great collaborative partner, so we're just delighted about that. This facility will be a 20,000 plus square foot facility. It'll support about 271 businesses, create about 261 jobs. So we're delighted to be able to have this opportunity. So I just want to thank you for all that you've done on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. And now I'm going to proceed to close the public hearing and call Councilmember Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, just want to thank NEON for this opportunity. You know, the North Side is something that I care about. I know it's something we all care about. And the corridor and the development of this corridor is just critically important to folks on the North Side. And so you guys have put in a ton of work to see this through to this point, and just wanted to give you my thank you. And I know the North Side is appreciative of this project as well. So with that, I'm happy to move approval of this item.
Thank you. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm like trying to speed up. Yes, council member.
I guess, thank you, Chair Osmond. I don't understand why we're calling it a land sale. And I'm super supportive of the lease agreement, but why are we calling it a land sale?
Director Hanson.
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Jenkins, Mayor Hanson, the CPED Director, we're selling a portion of the property and leasing another portion of it. So the portion that the building is going to be on is going to be sold to NEON, and then the portion that they're going to retain for parking, the city will retain it for under a lease. So potentially in the future, we can get some development along Penn Avenue.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Now, with that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next item is regarding modification for 3 tax increment financing. Angie Skoldum, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and committee. We made it. I come bearing good news. I'm Angie Skildum. I'm the Director of the Development Finance Unit and Finance and Property Services, and I'm here today because in the state of Minnesota, revenue that's generated through tax increment financing districts may be pooled for certain other purposes outside of the districts, including affordable rental housing. Now, there are statutory limits on how this may be done, but it is a tool that the city utilizes when approved by council as one source of funding historically for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund through the regular budgeting process. Tax increment financing requires the adoption of a TIF plan that includes a budget for eligible costs, and our practice has been to include a line item for pooling when pooling is utilized. Today's action, which requires this public hearing, is to consider a resolution to amend the budgets of 3 existing TIF districts that, upon recent review by my staff, we realize are projected to produce more revenue than we previously expected, which increases their capacity to support more pooling. In addition, interest earnings on the funds are higher than initially projected, which further increases their capacity. So the action before you will modify each of the plans to increase the budget item for pooling for a total increase of about $9.4 million over the next approximately 3 years. These modifications do not appropriate any of this future revenue, but it will be available for eligible budgeting purposes. In the absence of these modifications, these revenues would be statutorily required to be returned to the county. So notices of these proposed amendments were sent to relevant parties for 45-day public review. We have not received any comments. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about this.
Thank you. See no question. Now I am going to proceed to open the public hearing. See no one to speak, so I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Allison to make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to move approval.
With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. All right, our final item is tobacco dealer license with business license operating condition with High Five Tobacco. I will call Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. So I just want to thank Amy Lingo and Director Hansen for attending a community meeting last Friday on this topic. You were able to answer a lot of the questions that community had about why, tobacco store is allowed in downtown zoning, even though it's so close to a school. And many other questions and many ideas were put on the table. I'm going to motion to delay this another cycle. Have spoken with the attorneys about, the legal rights around this issue and the delay, and this is appropriate here. I'm going to have some more conversations with staff and would ask for council members' support on that motion.
I'll second that. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Seeing no further business before us with no objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.